I'll call the board meeting to order for October 17, 2016. Are there any additions or adjustments to the agenda?
Not from us.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Is there a motion to approve payment of bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of paying the bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. The minutes of October 3rd are in the package. Are there any corrections, oversights? Oops. If not, is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I wasn't
Oh,
there.
you weren't here, okay. Then I'll second that, and there's no further discussion. Those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's see, we have 6 items on the consent agenda tonight. Steve, could you read those, please?
Yes. Consent agenda item 5A is a special 3-dog license request at 4627 Stoddard Lane. It's to call a public hearing for Monday, November 21st, 2016 at 7:10 PM. Item 5B is a Rice Creek Water District rule revisions. To receive list of proposed revisions and refer to town engineer, town planner, town public works director for review and recommendations at the November 7th, 2016 Town Board meeting. Item 5C is to reschedule the November executive meeting to Friday, November 18th, 2016 at noon due to Thanksgiving holiday. Item 5D, authorize the staff to prepare a letter to forward to the Public Works Department, thanking them for all their work in assisting with the Township Day event. Item 5E is based on staff review and recommendation, approve the disposal of surplus town equipment at a State of Minnesota surplus services auction as outlined in the staff memo, with proceeds being deposited into the general fund. And item 5F, based on town engineer review and recommendation, and including his recommended conditions, approve XL Energy emergency permit to replace an electrical service to the residents at 5476 Daisy Court, which work will include directional boring under Daisy Court. A motion made to approve those items 5A through 5F.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to approve and accept the consent agenda. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is accepted. Next item is old business, item number 6, and the first item is regarding town hall building improvements. We have a couple of contracts to approve.
Just one. Actually, it's
Oh, we have using the homes, okay.
Yep, it's for the town hall repair, and the town board received and awarded the bid for that project to Paul Husting Home Builders for $44,681 and authorized preparation of a contract. Paul Husting prepared a contract, sent it to us. It was in your packet. However, that one's been replaced by one that corrects the township's name, as rather than being the city White Bear Township, just being White Bear Township. Those corrections have been made, and staff sees no need to make any other corrections. Recommends approval of the contract. Authorize chair to sign.
I just had a couple of quick questions. Chad, you were gonna review this?
I did.
Document, is it legally acceptable?
The only problem I'd have is the Section 12 concealed conditions. I think there should be at least some notice given to the town before they go ahead and correct those concealed conditions. Other than that, the contracts, well, the other point I'd make is that this is really designed for house remodeling. So
That was
there's
my
language in
second question.
Yeah, it has language in there that doesn't really apply.
Right, a lot of that.
But, the fact is, that's just basically redundant or surplus language we can ignore. So
But-
the only real concern I'd have with the concealed condition term, I'd like to know what they were gonna do ahead of time before they correct something.
Okay, all right.
Well, I had,
Quick question, though, going back to the home status here. There's the statutory warranties, they reference home improvement warranties for 1 year and 2 years. Do those warranties apply to this work?
No, they don't, because those are warranties specifically for residential structures, and this is not a residential structure. So, I mean, they could have a contractual warranty, no problem with that, but, you know, they're couching the terms of the statute, and there's no statutory warranty for this. The fact that they want to use their contract and included the warranty in there would indicate they are warranting warranting their work. But, again, you know, it's, they basically use a statutory warranty for residential work.
And usually a residential contract, 1 year is a bumper to bumper, 2 year is mechanical,
Exactly,
and then they go 10-year structural, so.
right.
Well, they have the structural 1 year and the mechanical 2-year guarantees here for the home improvements. That's, I guess I'd be curious to get an answer to that from them. Steve, did
well, I
you
just
have a
had
question?
a question on number 16, or excuse me, number 18 of the insurance. Does that read appropriately for, I mean, you know, they're crossing township, this is not, general liability insurance, we don't have to have our name on any certificates, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Okay, so Chad, you would like to get a confirmation from the contractor then regarding concealed conditions?
Yeah, I think before you agree to, before you agree to pay for any concealed conditions, and one thing I would say is I think the language is appropriate because they don't know what's gonna run across.
Sure.
You know. So they do have the right to have some kind of protection. But on the other hand, you need to be protected against some really huge cost overruns, which they could theoretically incur based on this language, because it gives them the permission to go ahead and correct all concealed conditions and tell you about it later.
Would you be comfortable recommending a sentence to be added to this for approval tonight?
I would simply add the sentence to this, that subject to approval by, in this case, by the town prior to work commencing. Actually, approval in writing prior to work commencing.
Okay.
That's on item 12.
Item 12. And I guess also regarding the warranty question, if those warranties are important to you, then I think we should also add a sentence there saying that these warranties shall apply even though this is not a residential project.
Sounds simple.
Under item 21.
Yeah, item 21, yes.
21, right. Okay, any other comments? So the action is requested then is to approve the contract contingent upon those two amendments.
Good, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Husnick Homes Incorporated in the amount of, $44,681.50, and authorize execution by the town board chair, including the two recommended additions under section 12 and 21 of the contract.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the contract with contingencies. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have several public hearings. The first is scheduled to start at 7:10, and it is 7:10. So let's come back to items 6B and C and go to 7A, which is a public hearing regarding a special 3-dog license request for 4195 Lakewood Avenue. First I'll ask, is there a motion to waive the reading of the notice?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is approved. Bill, is this yours then?
Yes. All right. Lynette Thompson, who's present tonight, has applied for a 3-dog license. Her included on page 84 of your packet is a summary prepared by Patty, the town paralegal, regarding the requirements and her satisfaction of the requirements. First requirement is that rabies certificates be provided, and that has been verified. That the dogs have township licenses, that's also been verified. That the application is complete and the fee paid, those have been verified. And that a report has been prepared by the animal control officer, and a report has been prepared and is attached to your packet. The report is in typical thorough fashion by Animal Control Officer Mario Lee. After his review, he indicates recommendation for approval based on his inspection. Then there's language that you could consider for requested action with some conditions. The town, in preparation for the public hearing, the town notified about 50 neighbors, I think, within a certain distance of Ms. Thompson's residence, and has received feedback from 3. In your packet on page 97 is a response from the resident at 4208 Homewood. Comments about barking for hours many times the last year, and so their recommendation is not to issue the license. On page 98 is a response from residents on 4161 Lakewood who note that there's plenty of barking, but they do not oppose the request as long as the barking is addressed. And you've also received in your supplemental packet tonight on page 22, a resident called today to state she feels the 3 dogs are too much. In the past 18 years, she's noticed barking in the neighborhood. And isn't identifying this property in particular, just thinks that 3 dogs is too much. So those are the 3 comments we've received from the public regarding this request so far.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from the board? Comments?
I guess I'll start off with the concerns that I think when Netta talks, maybe she can address. As Mario talks about barking, and all 3 of the letters concern barking. And there have been citations issued for barking. And I just think we need to talk a little bit more about that, and I'd like to hear what the owner has to say about that. That's one item. The other item is, I'll get to just a minute.
We'll get to you.
Just a minute. The question has to do with the rabies certificates and the owners. I need some clarification on who actually owns these animals, because the certificates are issued in other people's names. And those are the items I'd like to know about at this point in time when we get to discuss it.
Ed?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I won't, I've got some of the same concerns that Steve brought up, so I won't repeat all of that. But at this point, we'll open public hearing for comments. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing portion is open to comment. This time I'll ask the applicant, would you like to respond to the questions or add to your application?
I've lived there for 18 years, and I have...
Could you identify yourself and your address, please?
Lynette Thompson, 4195 Lakewood Avenue.
Okay.
I've been at their resident for 18 years, and I know I have gotten citations for dog barking, but on 2 of the occasions, they were not my dogs. It was a friend that had a dog there, and she left it there without my knowledge. and her dog is older and it can't see, and it just freaked out and was barking, and I had no idea about it. I was at work. I work in Minneapolis at the VA. So I tried to get a hold of Mario as soon as I could, and he explained what was happening, and my neighbor helped him put the dogs back into the house. So in reference to the dogs barking, I no longer leave my dogs out front. I close everything up and they are in back. So there's very minimal barking, if any. One dog is mine, Lucy, and she's 12 and a half. And then I adopted a dog from a friend of mine that got put into assisted living. And I was not sure if I was going to be keeping her, and she's in assisted living indefinitely. So I will be keeping Rosie, and those are the two dogs that are mine, and that dog is under Joette Nyan's name from Roseville.
Is that the one that's yours?
Well, actually, there's two. There's Holly.
Holly
And
is the person that rents from me, her dog. And she's a very small terrier, and she's rarely out.
So that's a
Okay.
renter, okay.
So the one complaint is, we have several listed here, and there was a complaint in June of 2015. Was that the one that Mario responded to that you were talking about? Or there was another one, well, there's several here, but,
Mario responded to a couple of them. I don't remember who the other person was.
all right.
And as I said, it was not my dog. It was a friend's that was there, and the dog just freaked out, and so then I actually went to court 3 weeks ago and paid the fines and took care of everything and explained what happened. And they dropped everything except the dog license, which I did not get because I had been in a car accident and I was really struggling with a lot of disability in that, and I just overseen to get her license.
Okay, okay. Otherwise, Mario's letter is positive for the conditions
Yeah,
and the care of the dogs. The barking, though, is a obvious issue here, so.
Well, and that's why we resolved it, and when he came over, we decided that the dog, I used to keep them out in the front yard, and they no longer are in the front yard when I'm not home, only if I'm there.
Okay,
So, and if they bark, I go out there right away.
okay.
And I also explained to the person that had their dog over there that she can no longer bring that dog there. The dog's not allowed there at all.
Okay. And there was one comment, too, in one of the memos or emails that we got about the dogs sliding out through the gate when it's open.
Yeah, and they're off from that. They can't even go out there now.
Okay,
So
so
they're
you've
in
you've
back.
modified the fencing so they can't get
No,
around? Okay,
they don't go out in the front unless I'm there.
okay. Okay, any questions?
So the complaint from 4208 Homewood Avenue, you think that's an old complaint, basically?
I believe it is, and I think that call that was on in June of 15, that was not even my dogs. It was one of the other neighbors. Everybody on that street and on Homewood has one or two dogs in that whole area. And it's hard to tell whose dog is actually barking a lot of times.
So is that resident backing your yard?
Yeah. And there was a gal that lived back there, and she had 4 dogs. I have no idea who she was, and those dogs were like barking constantly. They were 4 small dogs, and they were always barking. So I have no idea if it would have been that. She was there for over a year.
Is your backyard fenced with cyclone or a wood fence?
It's fenced with wood, or part wood and metal. And there's trees all the way around it.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
It just, I know we've had some dog owners that would consider a bark collar if this thought to be a nuisance.
Right,
Have you ever thought about that?
I have that for Rosie.
Oh, you do?
Yep,
And you're using it?
yep.
Does it work?
Sometimes. But, she was an abused dog, and she gets a little nervous if somebody new comes around. That's why I just thought it'd be better if she wasn't in the front yard, and that's what would kind of freak her out. And then she'd just kind of bark and run in the house.
Okay.
And did you say when you're not around, the dogs are inside? Or
They're inside.
not out, left out?
No, they can go out in the backyard to go to the bathroom, but there's no one back there, so they aren't like stimulated by anyone coming. They would be stimulated by people going by or people walking by and stuff
But
like
they
that.
have access to go in and out when you're not around?
Yeah, I have a dog door.
A dog door, okay.
So just to be clear, this Holly is still owned by this Sarah?
Sarah, yes, she has that dog.
And that's the lady who is,
Is renting from me.
maybe Bill, you can answer, this. We don't have any kind of stipulation that if the dog resides at a residence, that it has to be owned by the owner?
Nope, just that it's there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
And it
applied
meets all
for
the other
that
requirements.
license for that.
Okay. Anything else? What, you know, this is a pretty straightforward application, and with one exception, everything looks good. And the exception is not the first time we've run into this barking issue in the past. But it is an issue, and we have to deal with it and address it. One thing that we have done a number of times in the past is to approve issuing a license with a limit or a trial period. We'll issue the license for a period of a year to give you a chance to make sure that we can keep the dogs in compliance and
Right.
keep the barking under control, satisfy the neighbors and yourself.
Okay.
And if you're in compliance for that year, then then the license would continue for its normal 3-year term.
Okay.
And that would be expiration of March 31, 2020.
Okay.
So that's one thing we've done in the past, and I would lay that on the table for the board to consider.
Well, I would agree with that based on the neighbors' concerns over barking, even though I reread one of the comments and it said last year, so maybe it is under control. But I think that would be worthwhile if you can live with that condition.
Right. I guess the other thing is, I'm obviously concerned around it. I want to know if they are barking, and, you know, if there's a problem, you know, to ask me about it, because it's really, I mean, even for me, when I'm in the back of my house, I can't tell whose dog is barking. I mean, it's not an obvious noise. I mean, mine were when they were out front, obviously, but not in back.
That continues to be a neighborhood issue all over, whether it's
I'm
White
sure
Bear,
it
White Bear
is.
Township. Residents need to
Right,
talk to neighbors if possible about that situation, but most chose not to, and then
Right.
make general complaints, but we have to deal with,
right.
they chose to make comments about you, so.
I don't even know who lives at 4208, to be completely honest. They've never even introduced themselves to me, so.
Okay. All right. Well, then with that, I'll ask if there's anyone else with comments. Okay, please identify yourself and your address.
I'm Paul Smith at 4208, and I did call in at June of 15, and the dogs were out front, and it was a continuum of barking, and I just called the animal control actually several times, but that was a time, like she said, they were more towards the front of the yard, and addressing that, I think it has gotten better. But, I mean, it was to the point of, it was kind of scary to see families moving to the other side of the road and that. And I don't know who polices that, or it's a neighborhood issue type thing, but like I said, it has gotten better. And the dogs in the backyard, there was another resident behind that had 2 dogs, and she's moved out. And they would have these barking wars back and forth, as I'd recall. And you're trying to sit outside and enjoy the neighborhood, and it got a little tough. But like I said, it seems to have gotten better.
So I'll ask you this question. Based on what you just said, is it necessary to limit this to a year? Has it improved enough where you're satisfied that it's
Well, I guess my
fixed
question
itself?
is, I'm not sure how the township works, and if you have a policing agent, on so many issues, I don't think you have the staffing to run around and do that, because I would present to you that just on my block on Homewood Avenue, I can cite 2, possibly 3 other houses that have 3 dogs also. So I don't understand how you would why one person would have to have, and if we have to, I don't mean to make an issue out of 3 dogs or not. I mean, we should all get along there
Sure.
that way.
Well, we do have an animal control officer, and that's something that we can talk to him about. And now, as you said, staffing up to police a specific area frequently is pretty tricky, and
Yeah,
could become pretty expensive too. But we do have that option, and I hate to put the deputies and the sheriffs into that position, but they patrol neighborhoods regularly. So, that's one of the things that they look at as well. It's
Well, in
not-
most
to be
cases,
honest
their
with you, it's
windows
not
are
high
up
on
on
their
their cars,
priorities,
though.
but, pardon me?
In most cases, the windows are up on the vehicles, it's like the rest of us nowadays, a creature comfort type thing.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, there's a couple of opportunities here.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I think what's worth noting is that the way the town finds out about it is from complaints. So one of the
that's the third
citations that the animal control officer gave Lynette was on August 30th, 2016, barking dogs and over the number of dogs. So that's how we found out. So we don't patrol the neighborhood counting dogs looking for violations, but when we encounter one, like Mario did, responding to the complaint, then he can inform the property owner that it requires a permit. So it's pretty much on a complaint basis.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Bill brought it up, because there's always 3 options or 3 opportunities for policing or monitoring, and you're that third option, or the other neighbors are that third option.
Yeah.
The township's not gonna be bashful about, if we receive a comment or a complaint from a resident, we gotta follow up on it, and Mario's here to do that, and Bill is not shy about having somebody get hold of animal control and check it out, so.
Okay. Well, and the other thing
It
is.
won't be ignored.
As long as, and then the cleanliness of it too. You start having, the more you have, the more dropping activities you have in one's yard, which I have no idea how people
Well,
address that,
Well, and it is a condition in the license, and that's one of the things that the animal control officer does review in the yard, and then, let's see here, I thought he mentioned that in here.
Number 4,
exercise space.
unreasonable noise, odors.
I was looking for some findings by Mario, but it is a condition of the license.
Sanitation is considered good. But, you've taken the steps more than a lot of people, because you brought it forward yourself, and it is appreciated, but that's the only way we really make steps forward, is by citizens
and-
bringing
and-
this stuff. We're not out driving around looking for gotcha violations.
And,
It's not-
and neither am I, but it's just a reasonable thing in a neighborhood, and like I said, I think it's gotten better at that residence there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Any other comments? None? I'll call for a motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right. What is the pleasure of the board here? So the request is to respond to the license approval request. said, one option we have is to approve the request as submitted. If there is a concern about nuisance issues such as barking, we can approve the license contingent upon a one-year trial.
I would suggest we put that down as a number 8 under the following conditions.
Okay.
And with that, I'll move, based on staff review and recommendations, to approve the request for the special 3-dog license at 4195 Lakewood Avenue for a 4-year period through March 31st, 2020. And that's subject to these following 7 plus the added 8, number 8.
And the 8th would be a 1-year, return back in a year.
Yep, yeah, that's, number 8 is a 1-year review.
Okay.
A one-year review of compliance with barking, excessive barking, and other nuisance.
What we've done in the past is we'll send notices out to the neighbors that we did this time and see what
Okay.
they report.
Perfect. Any other comments? No. If not, I'll call the question. Those in favor of the motion, please say, or, I'm sorry, did you second that?
Seconded.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then I'll call the question. Those in favor of approving the license as stipulated, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That's item 7A. Next item on the agenda is another public hearing, 7B, and that's for a conditional use permit to allow an accessory apartment, also at 4195 Lakewood Avenue. I'll ask for a motion to waive the reading since proper publication has been posted.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill, this is yours?
I'll take that one.
Sounds-
Tom,
Yeah,
okay.
planning commission item here, this is a request for a conditional use permit, which would allow the property owner at 4195 Lakewood Avenue to have an accessory apartment in her home. The town permits these by conditional use permit. They are subject to a number of conditions, however. Those conditions include that you're only allowed to have one accessory apartment, no more than one in your home. Have to have a common entrance between the apartment and the home. Can't be separate entrances, can't be set up like a duplex. That's a different permit. Exterior alterations, which would show separation of units, would not be permitted, so architecturally it needs to be consistent throughout the home. Free movement throughout the home. So, you know, it's wide open. There's a certain percentage of the area that's an apartment, but free movement throughout the home. The area of the apartment can't exceed 25% of the square footage of the home. And they need to provide at least one off-street parking spot for an accessory apartment. The final requirement is sewer fees are required to be 2 times the normal rate. Staff's opinion is that requirement no longer applies now that the homes in the town are metered. And there's a hearing scheduled at 7:20 or after this one here to consider eliminating that condition out of the zoning ordinance. Accessory apartments require approval of a conditional use permit after review of a public hearing in front of the town board. That hearing is tonight. The Planning Commission has reviewed the request for the conditional use permit, and that group has recommended approval of a permit for the accessory apartment.
And we've also had 2 meetings of the variance board?
This particular one did not review a variance. No, this is a conditional use permit. We have a variance hearing coming up a little bit later tonight, though.
Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Any questions from the board? If not, I'll call for a motion to open up the hearing for public comment.
Gonna waive the reading?
We already did
Did
that.
that, we already did that? Okay, open the public hearing.
what you
So moved.
seconded.
I gotta remember. All right, a motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sorry. Aye, okay. Would the applicant have anything to add?
I don't. I have plenty of room and I have 3 garage
Why don't you come on up to the podium and say that? 'Cause
So I have two,
Again, you're Lynette,
Lynette Thompson, 4195 Lakewood Avenue.
thank you.
I have a two-car garage and then a one-car, so there's plenty of room in the driveway to park. It's not a problem. They don't have to park on the street at all.
Okay,
And it is the same entry and everything, like Tom said.
okay. All right, any questions for Lynette?
I asked this question, is this apartment that we're talking, is that the same person that I asked the question about, the other dog?
Her dog, Sarah, yes,
I need to know.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Looks pretty straightforward. Oh, excuse me. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments? If not, going once, okay.
I'm over at 4208 again, Paul Smith. And my question isn't so much on this apartment, but I'm just questioning, is there zoning issues? Is there updates that have to be, like in an R2 area where you need to have hardwired smoke detectors? And is there issues like that when there's like a multi-use facility like that? Is that a concern of the?
Well, let me ask the staff to respond to that.
There are certain building code requirements for rental property. It probably does include that. I'm not familiar with them, but because this is it would be issued a permit for an apartment, it does require an inspection by the town's building official. So he'd be looking for things like that.
Where I'm going with that is because over on my street, there's other issues where there's multi-levels of living on one property, where there's vehicles that have to park on the street and on the front yard. And it's very evident that there's a layered living situation within the confines of the property there. And
When you say layered, what?
well, there's
Are you
multiple,
talking about-
there's multiple families living within
Okay, all right.
the structure. And, you know, if this is a reasonable request to get a conditional use permit, then is there a governing body that would check that out further to see what's going on? Because like our street is real narrow. It's one of the narrow streets without the gutters and that kind of thing, which is nice in some things, but if you get cars parked on both sides, and then you get cars parked and trailers parked in front of the house and miscellaneous stuff. And if I'm over there trying to improve my property, which is, I would think, what most of us try to do, that this is kind of an eyesore that perhaps doesn't feed well into that. So this isn't really addressing the issue of the special use permit, but just a concern that I have.
All right, so that's something separate from this specific request, but
And I've talked a little bit to Tom about
you
that.
have? Okay,
We just discussed it one day
all right.
like that. So I just wanted to bring that up in conjunction, and perhaps that's a discussion for another day.
Again, we do have a town code official and inspector, and if he becomes aware of these kind of issues, he'll follow up on it. It's not the first time we've run into something like this, so we'll respond to that. But that's gonna be a separate issue
Sure.
to what we're
Yep.
dealing with tonight, so, but thanks for the comments. Okay, is there a motion to close the public comment portion of the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? All right. Any other questions from the board?
No.
So the action item requested then is to approve a request for a conditional use permit at 4195 Lakewood Avenue.
Well,
This
as
is a plan, and the planning
Yeah.
commission's reviewed this, so.
Yeah,
this is
they-
all yours.
they reviewed this and didn't see an issue with, like I said, we've had a number of these in the town, so as liaison to the planning commission, I'll move based on planning commission staff and review and recommendations that we approve the request for the conditional use permit at 41 95 Lakewood Avenue. This is subject to the attached requirements, I believe. I don't know the page number. It's in the packet.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the conditional use permit. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda, 7C, is another public hearing regarding ordinance number 30, an amendment to ordinance number 35.
Two zoning ordinance amendments, one recommended by the planning commission, one discussed by the town board. The first one relative to that sewer fee for a home with an accessory apartment. Current wording requires that home be double feed. Again, that was a ordinance requirement established when the town did not have water meters. Homes are metered now, so you pay for what you use. As a result, that section 7-9.2F of the zoning ordinance recommended by the planning commission that be deleted. Second one is section 7-6.2A. That's a section relative to parking of seasonal RVs in homes. Currently, the ordinance permits parking of RVs, boats, things of that nature in the summer months from June 1st through Labor Day. My understanding is board discussed, thinking that it might make more sense to extend that a little bit out to more use hours throughout the summer. The suggestion is to amend that section, changing the dates from April 1st through November 1st every year. Again, not June 1st, but April 1st through first part of November rather than Labor Day.
Just as a sideline, Tom, those April 1st, November 1st number, or dates, those are the same as in the winter parking restrictions, right?
I believe that's consistent with the winter parking, yes.
Okay,
So we're basically simplifying dates that people have to remember.
Yes.
Perfect.
all right, let me back up here. I forgot to do something here. Since this is a public hearing, we do have to waive the reading of the notice. Is there a motion?
So
Is
moved.
there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, now we'll go back on track here. Any comments from the board? Questions? This is pretty much an administrative exercise here. It's just we're just codifying what we're actually doing now. And like you say, now that we have water meters, it's a moot issue. All right, I'll ask for a motion to open the hearing for public comment.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any comments? No comments? Going once, twice? Okay, is there a motion to close the public comment portion of the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, so the request, now, Tom, do you want to see two separate motions here?
Yes, please.
Okay. That's the appropriate thing to do.
That's the appropriate thing.
Okay, so the first request then is a motion to approve amending section 7.6.2 to change the dates to April 1st and November 1st to allow parking adjacent to the driveway for recreational equipment. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion based on the staff review and recommendation, approve the amendment to section 7-2.6, 6.2, excuse me. You want to do the second part at the same time?
No, we'll do this separately. All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the second request then is to repeal section 7.9.2 F.
I'll make a motion to recommend a repeal of section 7-9.2 F of ordinance number 35 as outlined in the amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And that completes item 7C on the agenda. The next item is item 7D, and that's another public hearing regarding a variance request at 2641 South Shore Boulevard. Tom, this is yours.
I'll take that one also.
Motion to waive the reading?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive waive the reading of the notice. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
All right, Mr. Alcides. Did I get it? Alcides. Been working on that for a month here now. South Shore Boulevard, requesting approval of 2 variances. South Shore Boulevard, let's see, what was the address? 2641, I believe. Lakeside, recently purchased the home here. You can see existing single-family home with a garage towards South Shore Boulevard. Applicant would like to construct a new garage or an additional garage attached to the front of the home right here. In addition, they'd like to build a lakeside deck 10 feet out from the existing home, the distance of the back of the home right there. The property or the home, structure on the home is located 6.6 feet from the side lot line. This is a just slightly over 60-foot wide lot. The minimum setback requirement is 7.56 feet, and that's a proportionate ratio based on how wide the lot is. Initially, that was a request. Well, I'll back up a little bit. They would like to do the additions as shown here, basically following the building line. I'll flip this up just because that's the way I had the other one. So the deck is the lakeside here, the garage is the street side here. Would like to follow the existing building line and just extend that. Again, because that setback encroaches closer to the lot line than what's allowed by the zoning ordinance, it does require a variance. The time that this was reviewed by the Variance Board and Planning Commission, it was a 1.17 foot side setback variance. The applicant did provide the survey that I showed previously, and we've come to see that it's slightly further from the line. It's a 0.96 foot variance, so a little bit less, which is what is being requested, again, to follow that building line. Setbacks from the lake shore, from the street are all fine, so just the side yard setback is what's requested for those structures. Now, the applicant would also like to construct a driveway between South Shore Boulevard and the new garage. The town allows up to 25% lot coverage for single-family homes along Lake Shore. That's a 75% green area requirement. And with this request, with the additional driveway, if done in concrete or paving, considering it would be a permanent surface, 48% coverage is what we calculated would be proposed. That's a little bit over almost 25%, 23% variance being requested. Working with the applicant on that, trying to reduce that as much as possible. There was some confusion about how much green area when it was reviewed by the Variance Board and Planning Commission. They recommended approval of a 4.3% green area variance, not close to what we're looking at here. Planning Commission also recommended approval of the side setback variance. But back to the green area, working with the applicant, trying to come up with a way that would not require so much hard surface. One of those options would be to do a permeable paver, porous pavement, not considered hard surface, does not need to meet green area requirements. At this point, that's a pretty expensive system, so the applicant would like to just go with a Class 5 or a gravel-type driveway at this point and add the pavers in the future. So at this point, we're not really asking for a green area variance, just that side setback variance.
So the only request then is for an 11.5-inch variance.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
0.96 feet.
Less than a foot variance.
Okay.
0.96 feet, yeah. Unless you have some other comments.
Anything else?
That's all I have. Planning Commission did recommend approval of the variance, the side setback variance.
Okay.
as
And
did
this
their
is the one, this is the one where the variance board had a couple of meetings. I understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions from the board? there a motion to open the hearing to public comment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? That motion passes. The applicant is here. Do you have any comments or anything you'd like to add?
Not at this time.
Okay. Any other comments? Please identify yourself and your address.
Ken McDonald, 2637 South Shore Boulevard, just to the west of the subject property. Ann and I prefer that the side yard setback be maintained. We feel that having a slightly narrower garage or a slightly narrower deck doesn't constitute a hardship. On the west side of our property, the owners have built right up to the property line, so we're feeling a little encroached and squeezed from both sides. So Joy has shared these plans with us. We are supportive of the garage and the deck in general. We like the project. We like the way it looks. We just prefer that it maintain the side yard setback.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Going once, twice? Then I'll ask for a motion to close the public comment portion of the hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Unless there's further questions, comments?
Tom, I think it was brought up at the planning commission meeting. What is the distance between the applicant's home and the home to the west? I thought we had come up with a number.
I'm going to say approximately, or with the garage addition, if it's approved, I would say it's about 15, a little less than 20 feet.
Okay, but, I mean, I know we normally try to at least, even with these smaller lots, keep that 10-foot spacing between the buildings, whether one is closer to the line or the other.
Yes.
So, and I understand your concern is justified, but I'm not sure if a foot's gonna make you feel any better, but, and sometimes design on a building, pushing it a foot does change roof lines, does change the architectural look of the building, but I don't know if that was even talked about at the planning commission.
And looking at the drawing, it's a good point to bring up, Ed, that, you know, we've looked at narrow lots in several areas, and one of the issues that we still trying to maintain is some separation between structures, and it looks like, according to the sketch here, there's about 20 feet of separation from building to building, unless my calibrated pen here is that inaccurate. It's not something to ignore, but we've dealt with it before, so. And I will note that there was one email sent to the township from 2661 South Shore, and they don't have a problem with it. Of course, they're on the other side, I guess, but, and I will say that she commented that you have good tastes, and she likes your ideas, so. So you have one supportive letter. So, Tom, the only request then is to approve a side setback variance.
That's correct.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board here, unless there's questions?
Well, normally when we do variances, we ask that the applicant at least try to make the situation better. If the home is already too close, we try to make them fudge it a little bit. On this one, I think the planning commission reviewed it and just thought that that 1 foot with alignments didn't really seem to come into play. So with that, as liaison to the planning commission and reviewing this, with that commission, I'd move based on variance board. Oh, did we close the public? Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Based on variance board, planning commission, and staff review, that we approve the variance request for .96 feet at 2641 South Shore Boulevard.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve a variance of .96 feet at 2641 South Shore Boulevard. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 7E, and these are town planner items as well. 7E is reviewing the Benson Airport operating
Back
plan.
to 6, or?
We can do that. Let's go back to item 6B. And that's regarding Bald Eagle Island status. Bill, is that yours?
Yes. While no action is required, because the Bald Eagle Island project consumed a lot of time and energy with the town board and town staff, we wanted to present to the board the status of the application for a conditional use permit, excuse me, which was approved by the town board on April 4th of 2016. And one of the conditions that was clarified by the town board during this review process is that in order for the conditional use permit to be valid, the project needs to be initiated within 6 months of the date of approval of the permit. 6 months from the date of the approval of April 4th would have been October 4th. And so no activity took place. The project was not initiated. And so that, due to that lack of initiation, the applicant becomes, or the application for conditional use permit, actually, the conditional use permit becomes void. But also to support that, we did receive an email from the applicant, or actually the developer who received the permit, Hans Stoviak. He sent an email on September 8th to me, included in your packet, that ends with, consequently, we have decided not to pursue the studio project in Bald Eagle Island further. So that's a confirmation from Mr. Stoviak that supports the lack of initiation. And so the purpose of having this in the agenda isn't to require any action by the board, because the action is just, takes place by the fact that it wasn't initiated.
The action has already occurred.
Yep, or the inaction. Yeah. But we thought it was a
Well,
significant enough issue that the
The
board.
expiration of the permit is
Yep.
actually occurred, so.
Yep.
So all we're doing is acknowledging that for the
Yep.
record. Does that even require a motion of any kind?
No, doesn't.
Okay, so then we can move on to item 6B or C. All right. Item 6C on the agenda is regarding a proposal from the institution community work crew. Whose is that?
I'll take it.
Oh, both of us, Tom and Stark.
Town's considering a contract with the institution community work crew. This would be the prisons in Lino Lakes and Stillwater, most specifically closest to the town. Working with those crews and their leader to do some town projects. Typical work crew consists of 8 to 10 people who are serving time in prison. These are people towards the end of their sentences, considered trusted, and have been chosen to be part of this program. The crew leader picks the crews daily. They pick, again, 8 to 10 people to come work with them on the site. They are paid a nominal fee, which helps them with some restitution if they have any. And I'll also note that none of these prisoners would be have any sentences relative to any being a sexual predator or sexual deviant or anything like that. Prisoners are carefully selected, work with the crew leader, and other communities in the area have established relationships with them. In fact, we have a recommendation or comments from the city of Shoreview, who uses these crews on a daily basis throughout the year. The town is just looking at contracting with ICWC for a couple of trail projects initially that we have planned, specifically the the Bohattie property up in the White Bear Beach area. We've got a trail to construct between Longville Park and that development. Seems like a good job for these type of work crews. Town historically worked with Sentence to Service, a similar crew. We have not done that for many years. When we were working with them, there was no cost to the town. They have all established fees now, including this one, which would be a daily fee of $475 on a weekday or $675 on a weekend when the crews would be out. And typically, the town, someone from the town's public works staff would also be involved with these crews. I believe that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that fee, Tom, covers the entire crew and supervision.
Correct. Equipment,
And-
et cetera, yes.
Did you get a chance to talk to them about confirming a minimum size of work crew?
Yeah. Again, the crew leaders, if they're coming out of Lino Lakes, the crew leader will select his crew of 8 to 10 individuals. And
Will
he's
be
got
8 to 10.
He's got 56 people to choose from currently in the program. If they're coming from Stillwater, a few less, 36 people. But, so the crew leaders daily select their crew.
Okay. And we have used this in the past. It's been a few years.
Yeah, we haven't worked with the ICWC, the state prison system. We've worked with the county workhouse and Sentence to Service, but not necessarily with these people in the past.
Okay. I see Shoreview has a good experience with
Yeah,
this.
highly recommended from
And the
Shoreview.
sheriff's department is, well, comment is, I don't have an opinion either way, so the sheriff's department's okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Well, did you get this?
No,
Supposedly the minutes
I
from,
just,
No.
Joan scrambled ahead of schedule to get those. That's the only copy I brought tonight, so I gave it to you.
well, this went to the Public Safety Commission, and they have, I don't know, 24 concerns or questions. And I don't think we really have any answers to half of their questions, so I guess I'd still like to be, it's not that I'm opposed to this program, it's I have some unanswered questions, and there's a list of them. And one of them is, whether the town attorney can answer it or not, is if we have the names of the individuals that are in the township, and if it's possible to know why they were incarcerated. Now, I know you're saying they don't have any kind of sexual background, but I don't know, I don't feel, I don't know what our options are there. If we can ask, if they will tell us, if that's private information, but that's only one of it. There's a number of them on there.
Yeah, it looks like 20 questions, and just glancing at it, they look like reasonable requests. Let me ask though, Chad, did you get a chance to go through the contract
I did read the contract.
and any technical or legal issues with it?
No, it's very straightforward.
Okay.
Also, Tom, do we supply all the materials, all the tools,
No. They supply those.
the tools, or the materials also?
Well, material, it depends on what we're doing. If doing a wood chip trail, we would supply the wood chips. But shovels,
So they-
rakes,
they bring all their own
wheelbarrows, they traditionally bring those, yeah. We can help with extras if necessary, so it's closer for us to get them from our
Well,
shop
I
than
was getting
theirs.
at if there's a liability issue, if we're letting them use a power tool and somebody gets injured.
Yeah, power tools might be a different story. They may not be allowed to use power tools, only crew leaders. Now, that was my history with, or recollection with Sentence to Service. Only the leaders could use the power tools.
And actually, under the state's duties, they're required to make sure the workers are safe and they're properly trained. That's under Section 2, their state duties. They're also require proper safety equipment as well.
Well, practically speaking, Tom, we're not gonna be able to use these crews till next spring, right?
No, we could use them at any time.
You still
In
have
fact,
work?
this would be the best time of year probably to do it because we're talking about punching a trail through a wooded area. So we're done with the bugs now. And leaves are falling off the trees, so it's a really good time to work out in the woods.
Well, we did ask the Public Safety Commission to review the idea, and they did, so they had some questions. I think it'd be prudent for us to give the contractor a chance to respond to these items. Is that the feeling of the board?
I mean, we asked volunteers to serve on these committees and give us advice, and they've given us advice, and we should at least get some answers
Yeah.
before we make a decision.
Is that something you could do in the next couple of weeks, Tom?
Sure
You
can.
can put this on the next board meeting agenda?
Next agenda.
It'd be the first meeting in November?
Yep.
No, I won't be in attendance at that first meeting in November. But I can supply Bill all the information.
We're working.
Is it possible to have one of the crew supervisors come to that meeting?
I can certainly ask him. He'd left me his phone number if we had any questions and wanted to call him, but it'd probably make more sense to have somebody in attendance.
Because one of the
if they're
questions that the
available.
Public Safety Commission had was, has anybody ever walked off of these things? And there's no answer there here. But if that's possible, I think that would be very informative for us to make a rational judgment on this thing.
Might be a good idea for us to look at some of those questions, too.
Sure.
So with that, I'd move to table this until our next
That'd
board
be
meeting,
November 7th.
November 7th.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, now we can go to item 7E on the agenda, and that's the Benson Airport Operating Plan Annual Report. Tom, that's yours?
Yeah, part of our annual report, part of the Benson Airport. Darrell Lemire is president of the board of directors up there at the airport. He's provided some comments relative to the operations plan. The operations plan is basically the rules that the airport operates under. There have not been any changes to those rules for many years, and no changes are proposed tonight. A little background, there are currently 25 aircraft up at the airport and several others under restoration. Really very few, if any, changes up at the airport, with one exception. Metro Mosquito Control District is using the airport to calibrate helicopters, and as a staging point, they're storing fuel up there and are very happy. They have a convenient landing spot next to, in the metro area. Very appreciative of using that site. That's not continuous, but that's on an occasional basis there. Other than that, no changes to the airport. Continues to operate.
Did we get any comments or questions about the helicopter traffic in and out of there?
No comments at all.
Okay, good.
Is there any talk of doing it next year?
Yes.
Okay.
The mosquito patrol?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very convenient spot for them. They have to go outstate otherwise to do these things.
Steve, any questions?
No, I think the letter we received also from the Minnesota, our Metropolitan Mosquito Control, provided enough information and what they would like to see it continue, so.
Okay.
No.
All right, we'll just receive the report then at the end of the meeting. Unless there's anything else, Tom?
Nope, that's it.
All right, then item 7F on the agenda is a SCORE grant approval. Tom, that's yours too, I guess.
This is our annual grant funding request to Ramsey County for SCORE funds. SCORE funds is funding provided from the county to help the town administer a recycling program. The funding amount this year will be $27,335, and again, that goes towards the town running a recycling program. Annual grant fund application. The amount of funding goes up a little bit every year. The grant application is due to the county, and looking for town board support to make this application once again.
Okay, any questions for Tom?
Part of this is for the annual town day cleanup, right?
Yes, the Score funding pays for all of the recyclable materials collected. Tires, batteries, the big one is electronics. Many $1,000s worth of electronics are collected, and Score Fund pays for reimbursement of collecting of those.
Just off, Tom, do you know offhand how long we've been doing this? Because we've been running that operation for several years. I'm just curious.
The cleanup predates me. Score Fund granting is at least 25 years.
Okay.
Longer.
So, this obviously is nothing new to us. We've been doing this, we have some good experience under our belt, it works. Okay. All right, any other questions? If not, you're asking for two action items then. One is to approve submission of the funding grant application, and the other is to approve the resolution to approve the grant.
Might be one motion, but if you want to make it two, that's fine.
What's appropriate? I'll ask the town attorney.
You can make it one motion if you wish.
All right. So, the motion would be to approve submission of the funding grant as specified in the attached resolution. Is that the way to approach it?
That'd be
Okay.
fine, be appropriate.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is approved. Item 7G on the agenda regards the Northwest Water Tower Painting Project. And Jim, that's yours?
Yep. Mr. Chair, members of the board, as part of our infrastructure management program, repainting of the Northeast Tower, it is a 1,000,000-gallon water tower located at the Benson Airport, is scheduled for repainting. The structure was built back in 1996. The typical lifespan for the painting of the system is between 15 and 20 years. Next year will be 21 years, so we've exceeded our time frame there. The tower gets periodic inspections where we do have people do dives, so we know both the inside and the outside of the structure. There's no major concerns at this point, but there are going to be minor improvements that need to be addressed as we go forward to paint the structure. Overall, the system is in good condition, and it is a timely process to make these improvements. The tower will be taken out of service, so what we want to do is get this plans and specifications put together, get this out for bid here in the next couple months. We are looking at either taking it out in the spring or in the fall. We'll see as we go through on what the work requirements are and time frame with doing the actual bidding of the project. Overall, it will be back up and running at the end of the year, plus we will have full use of it during our time of need in the summertime next summer. We'll work with Public Works to put this together. The time frames really get down to most of the work they can do. Anytime it's the painting that we need to have adequate temperatures to do that. That's why it'll be spring or fall activity. This thing will be shrouded, as with anything. The liabilities, the issues of overspray of anything leaving the confinement, we will be shrouding it. There's an attachment showing the tower itself. And this is over $1 million activity of the township. It is in our CIP. It is budgeted for this work.
Budgeted for 2017?
Correct. And so.
That's in the water utility budget.
Correct.
Okay.
So at this point, we're asking for, part of step one would be to prepare those plans specifications for an amount not to exceed $19,700. Again, all this will be at the end of the year, beginning of, into like January, doing the bidding process and have this set up to be done next summer.
The only question I have is roughly how long does it take to do the whole painting job?
For the most part, it's the prep work, so we'll have to sandblast. They'll do their touch-up weldings, corrections of that nature. The actual painting, I mean, gets done in a couple days, but it's a lot of work getting to that point and getting everything set up. Like I say, you'll see the big hanging screens and everything, so
So this is like a couple, 3-week project perhaps?
it'll be more than a month of activity
Okay.
from start to finish.
So that painting includes redoing the Whitebear Township logo on it? and
We
everything?
will have a logo after the project is done, yes. It'll be
Anything
part
change-
of
Is
this,
anything changing on that, or?
not unless there's a request.
Not changing the color? No. Nope, he's being, not being
So at
funky.
this point, it'll be same color, same logo, all in a new format, a new product. Overall, I mean, the work that we did for the south tower, everything has worked really well with there, and we'll be doing that again on these next 2 towers as we go forward.
But did you have some thoughts about a new township logo?
Well, I was
where
just
we're
kinda,
going
I was
with
just
this?
kinda curious why our logo wasn't on there, that's all I was wondering.
The logo's on 2 sides, and the name is on 2 sides, right?
It's not on the.
It's just
not
not
Just
on
did
the
not
picture.
in this
there.
exhibit.
It just, yeah.
But also, do we have to now notify our carriers that are on the tower?
We'll be working through both with all the carriers on this to make sure we are in conformance and give proper notifications.
So they'll be down for this?
They won't be down, it'll just get into limited access, just working through keeping
Okay.
everything running, yeah, so there won't be any downtime for anybody, but there'll be a coordination effort with it, just like when you do a road project, going past everybody's homes. Also, we'll work with the Benson Airport on all this too, to make sure we have everything, so everybody's aware of what's going on. Again, we won't be restricting anything, but there will be some inconveniences as the project goes on.
Well, obviously, they need a staging area out there to do their work, so.
Yep.
Okay, so the action item, any other questions, Steve? Okay, anything else, Ed?
Nope.
So the action item is, you're requesting authorization for TKDA to prepare the plans and specs and perform the bidding
Correct.
process. Okay. What is the pleasure of the board here?
Make a motion based on town engineer's review and recommendation, authorize TKDA to prepare plans and specifications and perform the bidding process for the repainting of the northeast 1 million gallon hydropillar water tower located at Benson Airport in an amount not to exceed $19,700 with funding from the water fund.
Motion's made, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor of authorizing TKDA to prepare plans and specs and bidding, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is 7H, and that is also a town engineer item. That's regarding the MCES I&I grant program.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, so a year ago, we submitted our application for doing some of our lining work to the MCES. That activity was granted. As you will see in the packet is our submittal. We had about $47,000 of work we had proposed. It is a 50-50 split. We did receive the maximum $25,000 grant back last year. There is actually some additional dollars as available that they will evaluate as they go through this process. We are coming up on the deadline submittal at the end of this month for giving them all of our information regarding our work that we did. We will achieve all the criteria that they had. One of the items is we just need to clean up. We did not have a resolution accepting the $25,000 grant money. That is in your packet. In your supplement packet on page 24, we did add one additional line. It's highlighted, whereas last September 10th of 2015, we received a letter of intent with the Metropolitan Council. So overall, we've already gone through this. We've already said yes to the funding. We are just doing a follow-up, putting a resolution for that activity that needs to be submitted as part of finaling out this project. So upon submittal by the end of the month, they will review the documents, and in the middle of November, they'll be sending us out the agreement with the final dollar amount, and then submit us the check, which will be for $25,000, possibly slightly more, based on if there's any additional funds remaining. So tonight is a kind of a cleanup item, just putting together the resolution that's in your supplemental packet of all the things that we've already gone through, but will be required of our final paperwork to receive the grant funding.
Okay. Any questions for town engineer?
Actually, Chad, you've seen this, and this addition here is that they've added to the resolution?
I don't think that's been, I don't think it was part of the, is that part of the supplement?
Yep.
Here we go, okay.
The additional item in the supplement is just to acknowledge
Confirm,
that.
yes, I see no problem with that additional language.
Okay. All right, so part of the motion, you're gonna wanna make sure that we add, the supplement package revision?
Yep.
All right. Then I'll move, to approve the resolution authorizing the participation in the Metropolitan Council's Environmental Services 2014 State Bond and Fund Municipal I&I Grant Program, with noting that the new resolution is part of our added agenda, or packet here.
It's the additional as and whereas on page 24 of the
Yep.
supplement, okay. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item 8, added agenda items. There are no added items. Item 9 is open time. Anyone here for open time? Please come to the podium, identify yourself and your address.
How long do I have? I'm Amanda Josephson at 4188 Forest Court. I wanted to just mention 3 different items. I noted we bought our house just over a year ago in June, and I've noticed on South Shore, right by our house at right about where 2630 South Shore is, there's been a drainage issue there nonstop since we moved in. It's already really hard to walk as a pedestrian, but when I'm walking with my children, or I have to go across the street and then come back again because there's always water and mud sitting there. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Also, I'm on the corner, or I'm just one house in from South Shore on Forest Court, and it's been challenging since we've been there to make a left-hand turn onto South Shore because of it's like a very sharp curve there. But now my daughter is in kindergarten and she rides the bus, and that's her bus stop, and it is scary. And I know that changing the speed limit there is not gonna do anything. People will drive as fast as they want. I understand that. But I just wanted to propose a change, like even putting up a mirror or something. Cause I have come, I've in many situations had to slam on my brakes even though I'm only going like 5 miles an hour because I don't see a car coming from the right when I'm making a left-hand turn. So as of a couple months ago, I don't even make left-hand turns there. And people come around that corner so fast. It's scary, and it's even scarier now with my daughter. I probably will always walk her to the bus stop until she's in 8th grade. It's.
Oh, I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll love it. It's actually very frightening, and I know like flashing lights aren't going to slow people down. Speed limit changes aren't going to slow people down. But even just the idea of something like a mirror on a light post, or depending on the angle of where it's at, so you can see around the corner better, something like that. I'd appreciate looking into it.
Bill, do we still have access to that mobile speed sensor and display sign?
Yeah, and it sounds to me like anybody who's driven is familiar with it. I'm sure that they're not exceeding the speed limit. It's just a visibility issue because of the curve.
Well, sometimes it is a speed limit issue, and I didn't realize that as a driver. I didn't realize that that was an issue. It's just that now I'm sitting on a rock in front of that corner for half an hour at a time waiting for my daughter to come home, and a lot of people drive the speed limit, and a lot of people drive through there going like 35, 40 at least miles per hour, and it is scary. It's very scary.
We can do something about
Yeah.
that. We can do. We can ask the sheriff's department to have the traffic deputy identify that spot. Do
Sure.
a little additional
Absolutely.
patrol.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing, how about visibility? I suppose we could have our public works department look to see if there's any vegetation that's making visibility difficult.
Yeah, and I actually don't think that that's actually part of the issue. Oh,
Okay.
I hope you take me seriously, because I've tried to think of everything, like even asking my neighbors to cut down their bushes back. I mean, I don't mind being proactive about asking people, but the curve is just so sharp that it's hard no matter what. So, thank you. Lastly, there's the public beach that's on Summit and South Shore, which is right around the corner from our house. And I've just noticed since we've moved in that it isn't very well taken care of. And it's been kind of confusing to me because it's listed as a public beach, like that the township takes care of, but it seems like my neighborhood is the people in our neighborhood are the ones that end up taking care of it. So it's like I'm getting confused about it. Like my neighbor up the street locks it and unlocks it every day. Why is he doing that if it's run by the township? My neighbor one block over is the one that's out there weed whacking all the plants down because it's in such horrible shape. And then also it's not very usable. There's pavement on there and it's always messy. There's no grass. It's all muddy and mucky and you can't use it really. And then I know I've talked to a number of my neighbors who said that, and this is all second person. I don't know that this is actually fact, but that my neighbors were actually the ones that purchased the dock, which hasn't been out in a while. So that's confusing to me too. If my neighborhood owns the dock, and you can give me more information, but we would love to have the dock out.
There's a history. There's a history to that site.
Is it Annie Frederickson? Is that your name?
Amanda Josephson.
Amanda
that's okay.
Josephson. Amanda, you're welcome to come and review the file. There's an incredible amount of history that I'm sure you'll find interesting.
Sure. Yep.
And there's a foundation for all the conditions that are there now.
Sure.
So you're welcome to come in and we'll let you see the file.
Okay.
And the park board might be interested in hearing some of your comments too. It's that site is I won't say it's unusual, but it's unusual. And like Bill says, there's a history to it. Part of it is based on part of the conditions that you're wondering about is based on lake levels going down, back up again. Tom, I thought we locked that gate to prevent access.
Yes.
Okay.
Open and close, it has normal park hours. The key holder just lives on Forest Court, so he takes care of the opening and closing
Yeah,
for us.
that's,
It's a cooperative deal.
I'm sorry, who is that again?
Roger
His
Carter.
name is Roger, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so he's still opening it up then, huh? Okay,
He's volunteered to do it. The town has benefited from that
yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah, and if he
I
likes
thought,
doing
I
it,
thought we had restricted it though.
Right, seems to me, I thought it
During the
wasn't.
low level. I
it
thought
wasn't-
we wanted to shut down while the water level was down. It's not really a beach, it's
There's
more
a-
of a
There's a
observation
very
point.
thick file on it. We'll
Yeah.
bring it to the board if the board would like to see it too. We spent thousands of hours to get to where we're at now.
But I would suggest if you really want to have a discussion, you might want to attend a park board meeting. Steve is the liaison to that.
sure.
Or come in and look at the file up at the administration offices.
Yeah, I'd be curious for next spring, because the lake went up so much this summer, if we could be able to put the dock out next year, because otherwise the park is kind of
We could give you all
useless.
sorts of answers
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and stories
No,
tonight, but
that's
that's, you're better off, I think, going
Yep.
straight to the source.
Sure.
And Tom would be another good source
Give me
too.
my card. Give me.
Sure.
The drainage that you were talking about on South Shore, have you by chance contacted or tried to contact the Public Works Department?
No, I do not, I have not done that.
Okay, well, we can mention that to Dale.
Jim's gonna do it.
What's that?
He said he'll do it.
Or, okay, town engineer.
Okay?
Okay, thank you
Alright.
for the
Yeah,
comments.
thank you for my time.
Is there can we put up, or does the school district, can the school district put up a school bus stop that would just maybe draw attention to that stop there with the buses there or not?
Yeah, you see bus stop signs. It would be Ramsey County. They'd have to work with Ramsey County to do that.
But that might be another avenue to look at. At least it
Yeah.
gets people looking.
Well, sight distance is not great along some of those
I know.
intersections to South Shore, so that's most of the issue, I would say. But, yeah, we can look into signage or whatever's necessary to make it safer.
Okay,
It is a county.
all right.
Your concerns will be addressed.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to come in and talk to us about it. Don't hesitate. Item 11, or 10 on the agenda is to receive agenda materials and supplements. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of receiving agenda materials and subs, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We're adjourned.